Okay, back for another video on the musicality of being. And yeah, I'm just wearing an eye patch because I was already doing that, and then I thought, oh, that's another way into the subject. And what I was doing is I was just journaling. It was the end of the day, and a lot of things happened for me today. Um, Between the holidays and clients I'm working with, and my daughter and her social activities, and COVID in Washington, D.C., and all of these things were happening today. Oh, and I taught an online class as well, and I had to prepare it in the middle of these other things. And so there's a lot happened today, and I was journaling about it, and I was also listening to some music that I like, and I was trying to not just have it be background music, but I was actually kind of enjoying the music, moving with it, right? But what I might do on another occasion is stop journaling and then just enjoy moving music. I'm having a nice time, end of the day. But I actually wanted to write out what happened today, but I wanted to keep moving. And then I just realized that this wasn't simple to do these two things, and then just kind of like to make my life more miserable, I decided to put this patch on. But I think maybe that helped to just make my attention between all these tasks kind of recalibrate itself, and I certainly stopped writing for periods of several minutes, moving to the music, but then I would remember and I would go back to the writing. And so to write, of course, I use my right hand. I'm right-handed, but I covered my right eye, so I had to do hand-eye coordination between the left eye and the right hand as I was writing. And of course, writing is this fine skill with the hands, doing these little cursive letters and going along, and and in the beginning it felt fine, but then I sort of got tired as I kept doing it. I noticed that I was having a hard time putting the letters like right on top of the lines, and then I wrote a O, which was supposed to be a, and when I came back to try to put the little stem on the A, I actually put a slash through the middle of the O. So my depth perception was, this is not ideal, right? Left eye, right hand writing, but I could breathe, and then I could notice the music that I was listening to, and I could enjoy that as a way of reminding my body how not to be so tense. And I could come back, maybe with a little bit of the music still there, and I could look again at the letters and the page I was writing, and I could just slow down and not need to write this sentence so quickly. Just take your time, and it could become a little better, and the letters could land on the line again. And for me, this isn't just some weird, quirky thing to do. It's a way of actively experimenting with simple things like covering an eye just for a few minutes, just to see what it's like, not to expect that it's the solution, or that it's good for you, or that it's not good for you, but just this understanding that our perception, our meaning-making system that begins with how we take the world in, it's only as good as it is. And so if we give it new information in a mindful way from time to time, maybe we can actually encourage it to be more adaptable. The idea of someone who's able to see more than one point of view, and that's like someone who's some kind of a peacemaker, or a negotiator, or someone who facilitates dialogue. That kind of person is also just, they have more opportunity to grow that capacity in themselves, that adaptability. Because one thing after another, they just have to slow down and figure out how to do that and how to do that. So to write with one eye covered and looking with the eye opposite to the dominant hand, doing fine motor skills in this way, I'm not trying to impress anyone. It was pretty inefficient, but my nervous system has to solve a problem that's a bit peculiar for a while. And then when I take the patch off later and I go about my day, maybe after a good night's sleep tonight, tomorrow something might be fresher. In fact, I'm willing to say something will be fresher because that's my own experience. But, I don't have to try to convince anyone through assertion. What I hope to do in my work is to encourage people to include more experimentation in their lives as a conscious thing. And it can be playful. It can be something that doesn't seem to have to disrupt the other parts of your daily routine. But whatever your daily routine is in it, I promise you, there are dozens and dozens of opportunities every day to play a little game with how you do things and to allow your nervous system to be nourished. So, I've been reading the book Bearing Witness to Epiphany by John Russon because I heard John Vervaeke and Guy Sengstock talking, and they were talking about something that was called the musicality of being, which was a phrase that immediately rang for me when I heard John Vervaeke say it. And then at a certain point he recommended to Guy that he read this book by John Russon, which I understood to be the source of this phrase. And so John Russon's book begins by outlining how every single moment of human experience can be thought of as having a musical structure to it, with those three key elements of music: rhythm, harmony, and melody. The rhythm being the sort of cyclical or repetitive experience that's always there, waking, sleeping, waking, the meals that we, just all the cycles that run each day, and you can always sort of say, oh, I was doing this just a little while ago, or I was doing this yesterday. These things, eating, right? This is cyclical, it's rhythmic. And then harmony in music is when several notes sound together. And sometimes we think it's more or less harmonious, but it's a simultaneity. And as Russon points out, there are always many, maybe infinite layers of things that are simultaneously happening. Doesn't mean that you are putting your attention on all of them, but there's all of these things that you could be paying attention to. So, like in the first video in this series, I was by the window. I'm by the window again, but it's not open as much because the candle was getting blown out. And that's already part of the musicality of what's happening for me right now. The wind outside tonight, the way it's blowing. It's coming in the window, and it's a bit stronger than last night. And so that already organizes my experience in a particular way. And on like this. And then melody, the third musical element of melody. What's a melody? It's an unfolding story. It's an unfolding narrative that if there's underneath, there's a rhythm, and if there's these layers that make harmony on top, the thing that dances around and can be more consistently inventive is the melody, right? It's in the jazz band, it's the soloist. So these are three ways of understanding what we're doing at any given moment. And potentially we can understand all of these things in each moment. And if that sounds like, whoa, what, you want me to pay attention to all those things you were just talking about and explaining and all these concepts? No. it's just like when you listen to music and you go like this, because it just speaks to your body, and often you do this before you even realize it. You say, oh, look at me, it turns out that I'm dancing to this music just because it was in the environment, felt good, I responded, and I didn't plan these movements, but they're already unfolding through my body. That is the musicality of being. You're already doing it. And if you play an instrument, if you play in an ensemble, it's what you're doing in the ensemble. Especially if there's some element of improvisation in the ensemble that you play with. But even if there isn't, even if it's, a classical orchestra, if there's a real connection between the members of the ensemble in so much as that they're really listening to each other and to the sounds that they make on their instrument. So it's this double listening that the musician has. And a lot of people are very adamant that they are not musicians. Like, okay, yeah, you said it was simple, you just have to do what musicians do, but I'm not a musician. No, musicians are, I don't know how they do that. But at a certain point, a musician just doesn't inhibit, because like another person in the class recently, when we did some singing and some talking together, and let's just say the singing and the talking is not probably what you imagine when you think of people singing together, what we did, but I might explain that in another video. But she actually kind of broke in at the end and said, can we stop? Can we stop now? And we stopped, and she just, it wasn't a problem at all. I thought it was terrific that she just intervened, because what had happened is there was a situation unfolding that wasn't comfortable, and she just, even though she knew I'm taking this class and this exercise is happening and we're being asked to do this, she intervened to stop the exercise because she needed that, right? So she responded musically, and this is so I lost the train of thought actually, because there was another thing that was said about this, but well, that was almost like a moment of my musicality falling apart. Like I had a flow, and then I ran into a dead end. So maybe I'll end the video there. Maybe that was good enough for part 2 of the Musicality of Being series. But I will say, don't forget the workshop, January 2nd, 2022, and it's a Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. And yeah, I'll make more of these. If you've got comments or questions, please throw them in there, and then I'll address those things in upcoming videos. All right. Take care.